What's up, buds? Today we're reviewing JOJO Rabbit. But before we get to that, I want to let you guys know that there's a podcast version of this channel. You can find the links below. We're on Apple Podcast or Spotify. Another thing is that we're launching a new podcast this week called the Creative People Podcast. So look for that. Pretty excited about that. All right, JOJO Rabbit. JOJO Rabbit is directed by Taika Waititi. He has made films like Hunt for the Wilder People, What We Do in the Shadows. He did some episodes of Flight of the Conchords, Eagle versus Shark. So the guy knows what's going on. I gotta admit, when I first saw the trailer, I was like, Taika, are you sure you want to make a comedy about Nazis? Especially in this climate? I think there's something that we forget sometimes. I didn't feel uncomfortable with Taika Waititi making a comedy about Hitler because it's taboo. I'm not some sensitive snowflake. I was uncomfortable because Nazis are evil. And what Hitler and the Nazis did was horrible. And it's not really something that we should be taking lightly or making light of. On the other hand, jokes have tremendous power to take something that is scary and powerful and take the balls out of it by laughing at it. So Taika was really walking a tightrope here. Another question I think he needs to ask himself is why? If you're going to take on something as loaded as Nazis, I think you need to have a better reason than just wanting to make a comedy to take the piss out of Hitler. Thankfully, he is doing more here, much more. And other than a few moments that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, he really does walk that tightrope almost perfectly. JOJO Rabbit is hilarious. It is heartbreaking. It expanded my viewpoint of war, specifically the people that are caught in the middle, which is great because it doesn't matter how much I like a director. The movie has to stand on its own. And my love for a director will only take me so far. And Taika kind of took it as far as it could go on this one. JOJO Rabbit hits the ground running, literally, and starts off as kind of a Twisted World Wes Anderson movie. There's these great moments of childhood innocence, but they're framed in the context of like Nazi propaganda, and they're both jarring and very funny. This movie in a weird way reminded me of parts of my childhood. I'll explain. I grew up evangelical and I went to Sunday school and Bible camp, and at Bible camp you do things like, for instance, Bible verse shootouts. And what a Bible verse shootout is that two kids kind of go back to back and they say like 1, 2, 3, shoot. And they turn around and they say a Bible verse as fast as they can. But like some of the verses are about like Jesus's blood and like heaven and hell, like these heavy things. There was this weird aspect of indoctrination that I kind of identified with, except for, like Nazis are evil. But it's still indoctrination. So the main kid, Roman Griffin Davis, is a revelation. He's brilliant. He carries the whole movie effortlessly. And this movie demands a ton from him. It puts him through the whole spectrum of emotions. He has to be innocent and funny, and he has to be heartbroken, and he has to be insecure, but then also he has to try to put on evil. It's so demanding, and he pulls it off with a smile. It's so good. Oh, and his little friend, I think the little friend's going to be in the Home Alone remake, which I'm not for the Home Alone remake, but as I watched this, I was like, I watched this kid in something. Anyway, him and his little friend, like, they love each other, and when they like hug, oh my gosh, it made my heart crack in half. But they're so good, it's not cheesy. That's not easy. For me, the heart of the movie is JoJo's relationship with his mother. They really capture that bond very well. When I heard that Scarlett Johansson was nominated for this role, I thought, okay, well, we all know the Academy sometimes gives awards to people because they like them, and not necessarily because the work they did that year was that good. Looking at you, Irishman. But she's really good here, and her connection with Roman, like JoJo and his mother, there is a bond there that is very special, and I haven't seen anything like it since Room. And so it doesn't like, it's not as heavy as Room, but the connection is just as strong. One thing that they do really well that Room couldn't do is that they show those everyday moments. The weird thing is, though, that I had like a Freudian response to this because I grew up with a single mother, and so I was relating with this this boy loving his mother, but in the movie, like, it's Scarlett Johansson, so she's beautiful and she's charming, and like I was like, I feel a little uncomfortable. Anyway, moving on. One aside about my Irishman dig. There's been a lot of talk over the last few weeks about some of the comments that Martin Scorsese made about Marvel movies. And I'm not here to get into any of that. But what I do want to comment on is I love the model of Taika Waititi making, a big silly Thor movie and then turning around and making a small, silly, empathetic World War II movie. To me, that's cinema. You don't have to pick one lane or the other. We get to enjoy all of it. And so arguing about what's cinema and what's not, hey, go see Endgame and then go dive into Little Women and then go see Parasite and then, go watch Booksmart. It's all here for us to enjoy for different reasons. So anyway, that's just an aside. Getting back to Roman and Scarlett. This kid is new to this, like it's his first movie, and he's going toe-to-toe with Scarlett Johansson and Taika Waititi. That's who he shares most of his scenes with. Those are two seasoned professionals that he is spending most of his scenes with, and he is meeting them at the same level. It's awesome. His relationship with his mother specifically was the thing that brought a crushing weight to the movie, and while the jokes and everything are working up here, it's a serious subject and it needed a relationship with some serious weight in it. And that's one of the things that surprised me about this movie. There is a lot of drama here. You gotta hand it to Taika Waititi. Pulling off drama and comedy, that's not easy. Like, great writer-directors have tried and failed. It's difficult. And he pulls it off here for me. There are pretty big shifts in tone. And the only other movie I can think of this year that kind of hit that same sweet spot is Parasite. Now Parasite is juggling kind of more genres and more tones, but it's in that same league. So JOJO Rabbit is set during World War II, and it's about a family who's kind of caught between the Nazis and the rest of the world. And that's a scary place to be caught. And what this movie does really well for me, and does better than, say, something like 1917, the route that some war movies take is to show the glory and the kind of cinematic pain of war. But what they sometimes forget is that inside of all of us is a 10-year-old kid who's afraid, who wants to belong, and just wants to go home. And this movie kind of captures that feeling. When there are times when JoJo's running around scared out of his mind because war sucks. And this movie knows that. And so there's joking around and Hitler dancing around. But at the heart of it, it's like this family's ripped apart. And it's through that lens that we get to look at the war. And it's something I identified with more than I did with aspects of 1917. One of my other takeaways from the movie is that we have to confront our demons, whether we inherit them or they're of our own making. Eventually, we have to take responsibility for them. One of the aspects of this movie that I didn't fully feel comfortable with was JoJo's interactions with the young Jewish girl named Elsa. The actress who plays her does a great job at bringing weight and a lot of lived-in qualities to the role. But the movie specifically gets a little too close for me to just using her for JoJo's character development. And I did not feel great about that. One, it's already a little bit of a thing to only use female characters for male character development. But then to take the Jewish character of the movie and use it for the main character's development, that was uncomfortable. It didn't quite get there, but it was a little too close for comfort for me. There's also another moment between the two that really rubbed me the wrong way, and kind of took me out of the movie. Again, it doesn't ruin it. The way that they kind of brought it together all at the end was so good that it was easy to kind of overlook those aspects, but I don't think we should overlook those aspects. That's something the movie should have done better, and the movie did itself a disservice by not giving her enough of a viewpoint and enough weight in the film. But like I said, she's also very good, so she elevates what's there for her. So the way that the movie comes together at the end, and it's kind of crescendo right at the end, it's so good. It's exactly why I go to the movies. And let me just say that the music in the movie is very cool. He uses German versions of pop songs to great effect, and it really adds a layer of relatability to the movie and to JoJo, because we all enjoy music, and so to have music that we know and enjoy in that context was really effective. So when that all kind of comes together at the end, and then it fades to black, it just ends on such a great moment. This is a movie about connections, and our connections with people and our connections with art. And it's through those connections that we're going to get through some of this terrible stuff. And that's the enduring hope of this movie. This is the kind of movie that challenges us to confront our demons, to laugh at evil, and to reach out and connect with people. It's a movie that encourages us to dance because we're free and we're human. So I highly recommend JOJO Rabbit. It is heartbreaking and hilarious. It is silly, but it has a soul. The cast is great. Specifically, I want to give a shout out to Sam Rockwell and Alfie Allen. Those two found a special place in my heart that I did not see coming. So I'd definitely check it out. There's a lot going on. I don't think you're going to be disappointed. You're going to think a little, you're going to feel a little, and you're going to laugh a little. So check it out. If you've seen it, or if you just want to connect, hit that subscribe button. You can find us on social media. There's a podcast version of the show. We're on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You can connect with us there. We're launching a new podcast this week focusing on creative people. Anyway, JOJO Rabbit. It's a great time. Check it out. See ya.